When there's no right answer, but there's plenty of wrong answers, you constantly hit against cul-de-sacs. And yeah, that's why you can't rely on those moments, those light bulb moments. They're great when they happen and you can facilitate them happening, but you can't rely on them.
Today, I'm joined on GASP sessions by Hugh Heffernan, who's Head of Branding and Strategy at Piquant, and Conor Buckley, who is Creative Director at Piquant. And they are going to share their ideas for creative inspiration and idea generation. Welcome to GASP sessions. My name is Róisín Buckley. I'm Company Director at Piquant. Hugh.
Nice.
First of all, talk to me a little bit about your creative process and your sources of inspiration.
Yeah, I'm a bit suspicious of formulas. I think maybe when I was a bit of a kind of raucous teen, I kind of really rebelled against the idea of routine. And that's probably fed into a little bit of my creative process. I kind of feel like once you kind of work in a kind of pre-modulated approach, then you get pre-modulated ideas and you get kind of the same repetition. And or at least that's how I've justified it to myself. So when I attack a project or any new ideas, it really comes from a place of open-mindedness, and that really is the most important element to me. I think of inspiration as a kind of osmosis. It's that amazing feeling that I think a lot of creatives get. That lightning strike that just hits.
The falling apple.
Yeah, and it can often feel random. It can really feel like luck or coincidence, but it is, I think, an element of openness that you can prepare for. So when you're walking down the street and you look at the detailing on a building, at a bin, at what you hear, those things seep into that subconscious, and it's just about acknowledging those things so that maybe weeks, months, or even years later, they kind of surface at that right moment when it's needed. And suddenly that 1 + 1 = 3 moment happens. And suddenly you have that really, really good idea. So for me, it isn't about having a particular approach, but it is about keeping that open mind and keeping an awareness. And that's something you can build into your everyday. And it just is about, keeping aware, looking up, listening, taking the headphones out when you're walking and just being aware of your surroundings and your environment. And when things signal to you, when something in a movie or a book or a song pops out to you, just acknowledge it. You mightn't be able to articulate what it is that resonates with you, but at least you acknowledge it and you move on and you keep that awareness so that when it comes up again, when it's needed, maybe the subconscious will feed it back to you.
Okay, it kind of sounds like a magic formula, but I love it. Yeah, and I know it works. Okay, Conor, what about you? Rather than necessarily asking about your sources of inspiration, where do you find space for idea generation or creativity in your day? There's a lot of emails in your day. Where do you find space for this part?
Sometimes I struggle to find it, I have to work hard to find it because like you said, the world is busy. We're bombarded with information. I find being creative these days is about editing down rather than going and finding ideas. There's an abundance of ideas, there's an abundance of information coming at us all the time. It's about, I guess, calming down and looking, like Hugh says, for the moments. I'd be very similar to you. I see to what Hugh, I back up what Hugh says there, I suppose, in that I think creativity is graft. It's hard work. It's just putting the time in. It's making your work day structured in a day that you can't find time to explore ideas and do things. But really, it comes down to hard work. I don't really believe in divine inspiration or moments of massive clarity.
You haven't had an apple fall from your head and
no,
go, oh my God, I know how to do it.
I do believe in investigating an idea and trying to solve a problem and trying to design a solution and trying to really understand it, and then going out for a walk, going out for a cycle or something, and you do get clarity and you come back the next day and resolve the issue. It always happens. It always works, and I guess as people working in creativity or people who want to work in creativity, it's really about creating structures and discipline so you can really understand what the problem is and understand what it is you're trying to fix. And then, subconsciously your mind will work through it, but I don't really believe it's a divine thing. It's craft, it's hard work, it's diligence. It's about narrowing down what the brief is and making sure that you understand what the problem is. If you don't understand what the problem is, sometimes it's hard to find a solution, and you end up thinking about a lot of stuff and exploring a lot of stuff.
Right. So you've both got very similar, I'm going to say, in some ways, approach to creativity and how you get how you find the sources of inspiration in your day to day. That's all well and good when it's working, but what about when it's not working? So I want you to be honest. Have you ever hit a wall with a project and really experienced creative block?
Yeah, all the time. Happens, all the time in this profession. When there's no right answer, but there's plenty of wrong answers, you constantly hit against cul-de-sacs. And yeah, that's why you can't rely on those moments, those light bulb moments. They're great when they happen and you can facilitate them happening, but you can't rely on them. And that's where I think Conor's kind of work ethic comes into it. That at the end of the day, you do have to put the hours in. And it's a lot less glamorous, but it is the difference between, an amateur and a professional. Like that saying, an amateur waits for inspiration while a professional gets to work. So when you don't get that moment of clarity, that light bulb moment, that lightning strike, that's when you just get down to work. You put the hours in, you find out as much about the client, about their organization, about their audiences, and even about their sector, so that you can get as many perspectives as possible, so that you can best understand what the challenge really is. You ask those questions, you put in that research, you do that strategic diligence, you're putting in the hours, so that when you're looking at a problem, suddenly you have a lot more perspective and you can suddenly shift your perspective, maybe look at it from a new angle and find a solution. Maybe you'll find inspiration, maybe you won't, but you will find a way forward. So you're not just waiting for the lightning to strike.
Okay, because that's almost like a paralysis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just sitting there. Okay, so you don't just kind of be a deer stuck in the headlights. You just get to work.
Yeah, you just get to work. You know what I mean? If it happens, it happens. That's great. And if it doesn't, keep working. And, that's where that diligence, that craft, that level of professionalism comes into it,
Okay. Conor, I want to ask you the same thing. But more like, have you techniques that you use? Because I know when you're in the professional environment, you've deadlines. Do you know what I mean? And that you mentioned about the amateur, they can just wait. But we can't wait. We've got deadlines. We're professionals. We have to meet those deadlines. So that puts a little bit of an added pressure on it. Have you any techniques that you use to deal with creative?
Absolutely. One that always works 100% of the time. People. Bounce it off people. Bring ideas to people. Some days it flows. You're working. Things are working. Everything looks straightforward. Everything looks clear. The solutions look clear. You have to be suspicious of those days, because sometimes you're kind of you can get very confident that your solution is the solution, and really, until you bounce it off people, until you put it in front of other people and ask them what they think without informing them, without giving them the background, and they tell you what they honestly think, there's a potential that you're going down the wrong route. So creative huddles with other people that aren't working on the project, early stages of the project, always bring alternative ideas, alternative opinions. And I find what's really useful about them is you have to defend what you've put in front of them after they give you their perspective on it. And when defending it can help you work through the project and make it better, or else you'll get another perspective that you hadn't considered. So 100% of the time, once you put things in front of people, put them in front of them early. Co-design is another thing, including the clients in that discussion. Don't be afraid to show them things early. Don't be afraid to get feedback and different perspectives. And if they're open to it, if they can include their clients. So our clients is ultimately who we create work for. So speaking to the end user, the audience, understanding their perspective on what we're doing, and just not making assumptions. The number one reason that we can sometimes go over time in projects is because we make assumptions about the solution and what the solution should be. So it's just always being open to being told that there's another way to look at it. And as I said, that will help you defend your perspective and your solution, if it is the right solution, or else be open to changing it to align it with the perspectives that you've learned through that process.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. What do you think, Hugh, the idea of the huddles?
Yeah, it really is. There's so many times where I'm so confident, and then it gets, shot down. But in the end, you're kind of like, they're right, and I think going back to your point of defending, when you can defend something, I think then you kind of have to verbalize and articulate what you think is working about the system. And if you can do that really well, even if other people disagree with you, I think you can move on with a bit more confidence. And if you
True,
can't
true.
do that, then maybe you need to kind of go a little bit back to the drawing board and figure out a solution that can withstand that level of criticism.
Yeah, because design and creative projects, they're seductive. You know, you do something, you like it, you like how it's working, you like the results you get from it, you like the dopamine hit you get from waking up in the morning and looking at the work you've done the day before. And go, oh, geez, this is really good. But then you put it in front of someone, they kind of go, I don't get it. You know, and you're kind of going, why don't you get it? You know, but when they come back to you, yeah, why don't you get it? But when they kind of just, you know, explain their perspective, kind of go, yeah, we're missing something here, you know, and we need to go back at it. So bringing stuff to people early always delivers results, and never, you know, sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's hard, sometimes you hear unwanted criticism, but it always leads to a better outcome at the end.
Okay, this is a question for both of you, right? In Greek mythology and religion, they had the muses, so these goddesses that were the source of all inspiration. So they took it out of the humans completely. They were the sources of all inspiration for creativity, for art, and for ideas. And creatives have often identified that they have a muse. So Jack B. Yeats apparently said that every piece of work that he did was inspired by Sligo. Everything. Which is, I think fantastic, and he sounds like the ultimate GAA supporter. I don't know if he was a GAA supporter, but Sligo GAA would love that. Kraftwerk, who we all love here, and we've got a bit of red going on, which is, you know, in line with their visuals, but they're known for drawing inspiration from the urban environment. So, you know, often creatives say this and go, this is my source of inspiration. Have you kind of a go-to? And I'm going to be asking both of you guys about this, but let's start with you, Hugh. Have you a go-to source of inspiration? And this is kind of outside of the, you know, the grind, you know what I mean, or the daily work. Where do you go, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I think in the moment when you're working, it's hard to get that perspective. But if you kind of look back a little bit, a lot of my work, particularly within brand, does involve community in some shape or form. Well, you know, whether it's kind of a cultural project or it's based in a geographical location. I tend to gravitate towards projects that, you know, look at communities, see how they communicate, whether that's, you know, physical communities, whether it's people who come together, whether it's, you know, online communities, all these, you know, the way we communicate and interact with each other today, that's something that really, really fascinates me. And I think that is something that I'm constantly gravitate towards. Like when I was in school, one of my favorite subjects was geography, and like not the physical geography, the social geography. And I just love seeing how large groups of people interact and figure out how to actually get along, not totally just kill each other.
So how do you activate that in your life? What are you doing personally that kind of shows, or that commitment to community? How do you activate that?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm constantly part of different community groups. I run like a small music festival with some friends in a city as well. That's very community oriented as well. And, you know, I've been doing that for nearly 7 years now. And so, you know, trying to keep...
And you're recently, what else?
Oh, yes. Recently you became a board member in Ormston House as well. So, you know, another cultural institution in Limerick that help shape the cultural fabric of the city. You know, I've always gravitated towards cities, so, you know, seeing how I can affect and be part of that narrative, that weave of a city is really, really important to me and my personal identity. And I guess I'm always figuring out how to do that, how to make it a better place to live and to work and to play, whether that's in music or in art or in any other shape or form that I can think of at any given moment. You know?
Okay, that's really, so you live it. Yeah, that's your source of inspiration. So you don't have a goddess that's inspiring you.
No, I don't. No, probably for the best. I love cities.
Yeah, cities and community. What about you, Conor? Same question.
Yeah, to use the Kraftwerk as an example, I really, really kind of respect their kind of singular commitment to their aesthetic, to their narrative, but that's just not me. I just don't work that way. I definitely move a lot, a bit of a pigeon. I pick things up here and there, and or magpie, should I say? I pick things up here and there, and I go into different places. My perspectives change. I guess what really inspires me is people who have kind of purpose or a line of purpose with what they're doing. So people who are really focused and who are achieving. You know, I really enjoy working with people, whether that's in community or whether it's in business, but people who kind of have a singular vision and a purpose and are open to, you know, a change in road and achieving that purpose, but have a really clear defined purpose. And I think in the brand work we do, I really enjoy helping people define purpose in projects. And I think when you have that purpose, it's very easy to come up with creative ideas. It's very easy to create work. It's very easy to engage audiences once you can communicate that purpose. So
how do you find these people? Like, for example, do you like to read autobiographies or biographies?
Current affairs definitely informs, current affairs definitely informs what I'm doing. I'm really inspired recently by looking at the likes of Bohemians Football Club, where you have a soccer club and they've kind of taken on this environmental side, taken on this migrant rights side. And, they're not just doing it because these are popular topics. They're doing it to better the football club, but they're also bettering these issues. And you read about something like that in the paper and you go, oh, wow, that's really inspiring. How can you connect to, previously disconnected things to create something that has significantly more power going forward? And, when I'm speaking to clients, I'm always trying to understand what is their purpose beyond being a functioning business. What is their purpose? What are they doing in the world? And I think when you define that purpose, and they're clear in that purpose and have those shared values, it's very easy to
see. That's the word you come back to. It's values, isn't it?
Yeah, values and purpose. And it's very easy to conjure up ideas. It's very easy to, let's do a festival, let's do an event, let's, get together. And this in turn
let's make a video podcast.
There you go. There you go. So, once you've defined the purpose and once you define what it is you're doing, all the other work becomes easy. It becomes an editing process after that. You're not looking for ideas. You're actually editing down what you can reasonably do in the time you have.
Do you want to come in? Because I've one more question on then.
Yeah, just on that, I totally agree with that. And I think I really agree with that because there's so much in the world today. It really is less of a question of what you're doing, but why are you doing it? And once you can answer that, I think you're in a really, really good position.
Okay, now I have something depressing. Okay, so over 100 years ago, the novelist Mark Twain, that fella, and I actually couldn't find the exact year he apparently said this, but he said, there is no such thing as a new idea. That's over 100 years ago, he said that. In the 80s, the postmodernists like Baudrillard, they had that concept again, questioning originality in the creative or cultural arena. So they looked at everything as just a reproduction of what's gone before. We're now in 2024. So what are your thoughts on this? Like, are all the ideas gone? Are we doing what Twain depressingly described as just moving the kaleidoscope and shifting around the colored glass just to create a new combination of old ideas? Is that, what do you think? Or is that where we're at?
What do you think?
Listen, how many great ideas have there been in the last 100 years, and how many bad ideas have there been in the last 100 years?
Fair.
Many, So, and again, it comes back to maybe the original question or the first question you answered today, and this kind of divine inspiration or this divine idea. I'm more interested in everyday creativity, everyday small impacts of creativity. People cracking jokes, people using analogies to describe something. This is creativity, and that's the kind of creativity that inspires me, and creating a space where that happens and having a group of people where creativity is celebrated and can prosper. So this kind of big idea, I don't really buy into it. I don't think it even exists. I think any big ideas that have happened have been, someone who's been forceful with a small idea and brought it up,
Okay.
Creativity.
Kind of incremental.
Incremental, and people get behind it and get behind the values and the purpose of it, and then it becomes a big idea, and then it becomes a big shift, or then it becomes a big movement. But I think the good ideas are not realized all of the time, so it comes back to that kind of idea of hard work and having an environment where creative ideas are celebrated and have the opportunity to flourish, so it's really important.
What about you, Hugh? Is Mark Twain, was he maybe just having a bad day?
Well, look, if we invented the printing press and then all societal technological development stopped, maybe I'd agree with them. Maybe if we kind of had this level of like sociostasis for hundreds of years since, and maybe, but like technology is constantly changing, society is constantly changing, the world around us, the way we communicate, the way we operate, the way we see the world is constantly changing. So I don't see how you can't not have new ideas.
Yeah.
And like that, maybe new ideas seem incremental for a time. You go back to like the 40s when the first papers on AI were being published. And then you jump forward to, Turing, and then you jump forward to where the real first, valuable case test of them was probably in video games where you're getting AI for kind of non-playable characters. And now look at us, and suddenly then we get this huge spurt in the last 2 years. So maybe it is a case of, new ideas happen, but they happen over a very, very long period.
Right.
And, with the world changing it's impossible not to see new ideas, new opportunities, and new challenges that come from that.
It could have been he was just having that creative block and the interviewer just interviewed him on the bad day.
But I remember, my dad always told me, because before I wanted to go into design, I wanted to go into archaeology, and he always told me that there was one archaeologist who said, I think maybe in the late 1800s, who said that we found everything. That's it. Archaeology is kind of done. And, maybe from his perspective at that time, it seemed realistic. It obviously seems really stupid now. Yeah. But, I would take a bit of, a little grain of salt with that comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand the stance, I understand the stance of saying everything's done. And Baudrillard's ideas are fascinating in us kind of just understanding how we rely on other ideas to create new things.
Yeah.
So, I'm not against the idea, but, every idea comes from a combination of other ideas. Everything we create references the living world that we all live in, and that's what we do. We reappropriate all the time to make new meaning. So,
it's more kind of
so being aware of what Baudrillard is kind of leaning into is really important, and obviously huge shifts in technology. We're in the middle of a kind of an information age that is overwhelming when you think about it. So distilling things down and making ideas or delivering creative projects in that space, there's so much opportunity,
Okay. I know we could talk about this for a long time, but we're not going to. We're going to wrap it up, okay? So I want to thank you both for your insights and honesty. It's been fun. Listeners and watchers, we hope you've enjoyed being on this creative exploration with us. GASP is going to continue to bring you insights and discussions on creativity, the business of digital storytelling, with more great guests. So come back, find us on all our social media channels, like, share, you know the drill. GASP is produced by Piquant, a full-service creative agency based in Ireland's Midwest. Thanks a million for listening. My name is Róisín Buckley and I'm Company Director at Piquant. Thank you.